Hello, everyone. Welcome back to day 13. So today we actually going to have our fraud detection set up. So what our app is going to do is that whenever a user maybe have a transaction that is fraudulent, that will every transaction we do, we actually give it to AI for AI to figure out for us if it is fraudulent or not. If it is fraudulent, we will now give and send a real-time alert to our users. Okay. So now the goal here is when a transaction occurs, we'll save the transaction in the database, send the transaction data to AI, then AI will determine if it looks suspicious or not. And then if it is risky, AI will send real-time fraud alert to the user or admin dashboard. So, but we can also actually say, okay, maybe we could not be taking try before we do any transaction or maybe deduct from the our user's wallet or whatever. We should actually first of all check if it is fraudulent. This can be different ways of designing the system depending on how we actually want to design the system, but let's make it very simple. But we can actually see, say, okay, before we even go on with the transaction, we will have to check if that transaction is fraudulent before we can even go on with it, save it, deduct money from the wallet or whatever. But nonetheless, you can actually implement that. So, but let us go on with what we have here already. So the first thing we have to do is to install. Go to your backend folder, install socket.io, go to your frontend folder, install socket.io.client. Okay, so go to your backend folder. This is my frontend folder. I have already installed do npm install or I socket.io.client. All right, this is what you do. Install this in your front end folder. Then if you go to your back end folder, you will do npm I socket.io. All right, this is what you will do. So once you do that, install them. So after you do that, now let us go and set up our socket.io server. Now, the way our server have been running, there will be some changes now. So go to your server.js. Go to your server.js. I would actually do this. Okay. So go to your server.js. In your backend folder, server.js. This is our server, sorry, server.ts. Sorry, my bad. Server.ts. We are here because we are using TypeScript. Okay, so our server.ts looks like this. No, you see, we are actually using the app to listen, the app that we are importing. We have the app.ts and we are importing this app that we created in there. So that's what we are using to listen. But this time around, if we want to use socket.io, we want to have a WebSocket in our application. Okay, so we have to create a server. We have to create another server. So we are going to say, um, we can export, or we don't even need to export because we'll be using it right here. So I'll say const server. So this server, I'm going to use the HTTP. HTTP should be coming from HTTP dot create. No, HTTP is equal to is HTTP dot. All right. So let me import this HTTP. Import HTTP from. So import HTTP from HTTP. All right. So we are going to use this HTTP to create a server. And then we are going to pass our Express server that we have created, the app that we have created from there. And then, so once we have created this server, we will now use this server. So we are going to export const the IO. We are going to create this socket.io is equal to new server. This server is coming from socket.io. Make sure that you have installed socket.io. It's coming from socket.io. You can make sure you import it. Look at it. Import server from socket.io. So this server, then I will now pass in this other server that we have created here. So now this is what the server that will be running our socket.io. So we can pass in cause. Look at what I'm doing. So we are passing the cause object here. So we say the origin. For now, let us only accept request from HTTP, or we can just say, okay, we can accept from anywhere for tutorial reasons. Okay, for this is just for practical. We can accept from anywhere in case we are no longer using localhost 3000. So we are accepting from anywhere. But normally, if you want to make this thing very secure, you should only accept from trusted URLs. Okay, so we are accepting from anywhere. So once we have done that, we need to now, instead of using this app, we are going to be using the server to listen. Now we are no longer using the app, we are using this server that we have created here because this is the server that our socket.io will be using, and that's also we are using to listen for our request. Now, as we have done this, we need to handle we are not even supposed to be doing this thing here, but just because of tutorials, we can actually have this thing in a separate function, in a separate file, in a separate module, and then we import it. But let's just do it here. All right. It's not clean. You understand? It's not clean. If you want it to be more readable and more maintainable and clean and everything, we have to. This function, we can actually put this whole thing in a function or in a module, then import it and use it here. But I'm just, okay, all right, let me do it. Let me practice what I preach, right? So I could just go to, do I have library here or utils? Okay, I could even have it in utils or I could have a library. Okay, let me just have library inside of here. Let me have a library. And then inside of the library, I would have a file and I will call it handle socket collection, whatever. All right, handle socket connection dot ts. So now I'm going to create a function. So I'm going to create a function. This function would, I'm going to create export default. That's the only function only thing I'm exporting. Export default. This function will call it handle socket connection. All right, it's going to take it's going to take IO as a parameter, and then now inside of it, what I'm going to do right away is that I'll say IO dot on. So this is actually socket.io. So remember, we are also learning WebSocket. All right, we're also learning WebSocket, real-time communication, real-time uh, communication in web development. We're also learning WebSocket, and then this is part of it. So when we get to that, if you really want to understand what I'm doing here, you have to take that class. All right, enroll into our mentorship program where we teach all these things. So I'll say io.on. So on connection, once the user from the front end connects, that's on connection, what do we want to do? We want to pull out the socket. Okay. And then, so we would also take socket as a parameter here. Yes, we would also take socket as a parameter here. Did we, if I go to server, yeah, okay. So I can just give it type of any. All right. So when I say console.log, because if I go back to okay, and if I go back here, so all right. Okay, so I come back. So I will say console.log user connected. So on connection, all right, on connection, uh, this we will get that socket. We will get that socket as data. So socket dot ID. All right, we'll say user connected and then the socket dot ID. So that's what we want to console. All right, so on that, so on connection, we are doing this. So inside of it, once we have connected, once we have done that, so we want to say, I'm not going to explain my code actually. So we are these are the things we will learn. So socket.on, so we will be listening for this event to trigger. So the user from the front end would trigger this event. And then once it is triggered, we are going to get the user ID and it's going to be a string. So we'll get the user ID and then we want to, once we get that, we want to call socket.join, okay, and then user ID. All right, so we want to join this user ID to this socket, to this chat pipeline, socket pipeline. So we want to say console.log. This is just to confirm to us that yes, our code is actually working when the user joins. So we're going to have some confirmation that is working. So we want to say that this user has actually joined. So now on disconnect, so in case the user disconnects, so we want to say, I'm just going to do the opposite of what we are doing, what we did on the, no, what we did on the, uh, I'll take this. So socket on disconnect. So when the user disconnects, disconnect. When the user disconnects, we just want to, we're not interested in the data it's going to give us. We just want to say user disconnected. So user disconnected. And then we would actually socket.id. Okay? Now we have our function. So this our IO is also crying for its type. So I think since I am not sure of the type, I will use the any because this is TypeScript. Okay, so I have it here now. So what I need to do now is to go back to my server. All right, I will go back to my server and then before I listen, I will call that function handle. All right, so before I listen, I'll call that function and I'll pass in IO. All right, so this is cool now. All right. So now look at what I did. First of all, here I created this server using the HTTP create server. I imported it from here. I imported it here from HTTP. Then I created this server, the IO, new server, and then um, okay. So then I make sure you actually change this thing from app.listen to server.listen. Make sure you do that. Then I now went on to create a new function here. This is the function that will handle our connection. All right. So when I come back here, I now call that function here before I listen. Okay. So that is it. So make sure that you have server.listen, not app.listen. All right. Now, let us create our fraud detection AI service. So now we are going to create this file. Okay, so I will go to, now inside of my backend, my services, I will create, inside of these services, I will create a file and I will call it fraud detection, fraud detection dot service dot ts. All right. So what am I going to have here? So I am going to, you already know how I do my import. So first of all, I'm going to export this function that I'm creating. It's going to be an asynchronous function. It's going to be an asynchronous function. And I will call it analyze transaction. Analyze transaction. And this function is going to take, first of all, let me have the body of it. So this function is going to take a parameter. Now, but look at what, this is crazy. What I'm going to do now is very crazy. This is TypeScript, not JavaScript. I'm going to have a transaction, but this transaction is going to be of type transaction. Look at where this transaction is going to come from generated Prisma client. All right, look at where I'm importing it from. All right, and it's going to be and all right. So this is crazy, but this is something we are going to learn in TypeScript. So I'm going to have now my normal transaction does not have this currency property. So I'm actually like, it's like I'm appending, I'm adding, or I'm extending. Okay. I would also have location. The first time I saw this in TypeScript, I was like, wow, what's this? I would have account age. All right, just do exactly what I'm doing if you don't understand this. But if you have started if you have taken our mentorship class, you should understand this. Okay, so now this my transaction is of type of this. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the next thing. All right. So I'm going to create our prompt. This prompt is going to be heavy, plenty of it. So just code along. Okay, so but there's something I'm going to, so look at what we have here. Make sure that you have this already. So now I'm going to actually, I will close this guy and then I would, okay. So now let us write this prompt. It's actually long. So let's write this prompt. So inside of my function, I will create a variable called prompt. Create a variable called prompt. And this prompt, I'm going to use a template literal to create it. So I'm going to tell, maybe I should just copy it. Okay. Let me just copy it and then instead of typing, let me just copy it. Okay. And I will run it back. All right. So I will just copy it and I will explain. So this is what we have. So this is our prompt because remember you have to give AI prompt. So this is our prompt. I say we are giving AI a prompt. We are telling AI to analyze the financial transaction and determine if it is fraudulent. These are the transaction details, the amount, the currency, the location, the account age, blah 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 blah. And we are telling it to return JSON, return this JSON format. Risk can be either low, medium, or high, and reason will be short explanation. So this is the prompt we are giving AI. All right, so you can just pause the video and take a look at it and type. And then after that, we have our prompt. The next thing is to create our response. And this somehow is going to be different from the kind of response we have been creating before. All right, so I just, don't worry, we are still going to learn OpenAI. All right. If you haven't started the mentorship class, don't worry, we are still going to learn OpenAI. So I'm going to collapse this so that I can have some space here. So my response, I think I should do what I, oh, sorry. So we will learn oh God, what's it? We are going to learn OpenAI, of course. And so I'm creating this response that we are going to be getting from, I'm getting this response that we are going to be getting from, say, await OpenAI. We already have our OpenAI somewhere. OpenAI, we have it somewhere. Dot responses dot create. Okay. This is different from what we have been using before. So our model is GPT 4.1, GPT 4, GPT 4.1 mini, 4.1 mini, and input is prompt. Don't worry, we are going to explain the difference between what the one we are using now and the one we used to use before. All right, so we have our prompt there. So once we get our response, we have our response. So we'll now const test. So let us extract from the response, response.output, output test. All right. And then we are going to return the JSON. We are going to return, because it's going to return a JSON string for us. So we'll say JSON.parse. This is pure JavaScript. This is not even TypeScript. So JSON.parse test. So this JSON will pass, will convert the JSON, because this test is going to come as a JSON string. So JSON.parse will convert it to a JSON object. Okay. All right. So we have it as an object here. Now, the next thing we have to do is that we will now go to our controller. Inside our transaction control, we already have a transaction controller. So we go into the transaction controller. After saving the transaction, we will now run the fraud detection, this trigger alert if it is suspicious. So let's go to the transaction.controller, and this is the few code we are just going to add inside of the controller. So I will go back. So my controller, so I will go to controller folder. Inside of the controller folder, I'll go to transaction. We already have transaction. So inside of the transaction, this is what we are going to do. All right. So inside of the transaction, immediately after we have created the transaction, all right. Now, like I said, we could actually change the design and said, oh, okay, we don't want to set the transaction. We want to first of all check if it is fraudulent before we say, but that is not what our boss told us to do. So let's just assume that our boss told us to just, we should also save the transaction, all right? And after saving it, we'll tell the user or we'll tell the admin that it's a fraudulent transaction. So now, immediately after creating the transaction, so but since now we are going to be making use of the transaction, we need to save whatever we are is being returned from here. So when we learn Prisma, or if you have learned Prisma already from the mentorship program, you're going to understand what we are doing here. When you call Prisma.transaction.create, it will return the created transaction. So we were not using it before, but right now I want to use it. That's why I'm doing this. I will say const fraud check. All right, so I'm going to call our, we wrote this program, await analyze transaction. And this analyze transaction was taking, remember, it was taking a transaction type. So now, this is what I'm going to do. Watch, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have an object like this, and I'm going to have the spread operator. So I will spread this transaction that I already have. Then I will now add currency. All right. Currency is, let's assume is NGN. All right. Location, let's assume is Nigeria. And then account age, let's assume this account is 2 years old. But we can actually get this thing from the data or from our database. All right. But so now we have actually given the function what it needs. So we have actually given it the data that it needs, the argument it needs. So, oops, okay. So now I have it here. So after we have gotten the fraud check, so we have to now say if this fraud check, if the fraud check dot dot risk, all right, if the fraud check dot risk is if it is equal to high, if you can go back to that our analyze transaction and see what we are returning. We can either return the AI can either return low, the risk can either be low, high, medium, low, medium, high, or something. Okay. So now, if it is high, that means it is fraudulent. So what do we want to do? We want to emit. We want to use our io.emit. So we want to send a message in real time. So we want to emit this event that our the front end will listen to. So we say fraud alert. So the front end will have to be listening to this for it to catch it whenever we emit it. And then we are passing in the transaction. We are passing in the transaction ID. That's what we are sending. We are sending transaction ID. Oh, no, we don't even need to do that. We can just pass in reason. There's no need to send. Let us just send only reason. So let us send only reason why it is fraudulent. Let's just say reason. And the reason we are sending is fraud check. Or we can just send the fraud check, right? Okay, let's not just send the fraud check as the data. Okay. So the user, our front end can now do whatever I want to do with it. So let us just send this as the data. So this is how simple it is to use socket.io and have real time. Now, when we build our WhatsApp clone, we are going to use this socket.io a lot because user will be getting response to their chat in real time. We are going to use it a lot. So we are going to, in our mentorship class, we'll be learning this too, okay? So now we have emitted this. If this is high, we emit. If it's not high, we'll not emit it. Okay. So now let us now go to our front end and then create this our socket. All right. So I will go now to Oh my God. Shit. I didn't even, oh, I didn't create. Hey, wow, wow, wow. Okay, I didn't create the Git branch, Git switch. I didn't create the 13. Oh, I hope it doesn't affect things for us here. Okay, so all right, we are in. I have created it now. So now let's go to front end. So we will go to front end, and then inside of our library in front end, we'll create a file, call it socket.io.ts. Okay, so inside of here, we will have okay, so I will expand my VS Code. And then I am going to write this piece of code. So, I don't do imports but make sure before you are doing this, make sure that you have installed socket.io client on your front end. So I'm going to say export const. I'll create this socket from io dot IO, and I'm going to import it from socket.io.client client. So io.client, IO. So I'm going to pass in the URL. I'm just going to hard code it, but we might want to have this in our environment variable or something. So I'm just going to hard code it. I'll say localhost 5,000. That's where our backend is running. And then I will have these objects. I will say transports, and it's going to be web. I'll say web socket. So make sure you have this hope I spelled it correctly, web socket. Okay, so this is what I have. So inside of your library, the library folder, inside of your front-end folder, all right, create this socket.io.ts, and then this is the piece of code that will help us connect. This is the code that will help us connect to our backend socket.io, so that we can be listening to the event they actually emit. So now, after doing that, okay, so now let us go. Let us create a component that will be listening to this. So what I'm going to do is I will go to my components folder. I will create this file, I'll call it fraud alerts, right? Fraud alerts .tss. Now I'm just going to copy the code. I have it somewhere. This front-end code is always too long. So I have it somewhere. I'll copy it and I'll paste it. So let me try to explain it a bit. So this is what we are doing. All right. If you want to use this toast, make sure you also install Sonar. Install Sonar in your front-end folder. So I have this is a component, a React component. All right. So I have this states. All right. If you have not started our class or you have not taken the React class, this is pure React. So I'm not going to be explaining anything here. And I'm in my use effect, I'm trying to get the user ID from the local storage. And then if we don't have any, I will return it. Then if this socket, we are getting it, from our library, because if I go to socket.io.ts, we are exporting this socket. After we do this, we are exporting it. So we come here, we import it, and we are using it. So we are going to connect if it has not connected. And then once we connect, we are emitting we are sending an alert to our back end, telling their back end that we want to join or we have joined. So if I go back to our handle socket, you can see that we have this, we are listening. The backend is listening for this join room. And here we are emitting it and telling the backend that we are joining the room and we're passing the user ID. Then we are also listening on fraud alert. If there's any fraud alert, we want to also do this. And as soon as we get it, as soon as we get this data, we are setting fraud alerts here and blah, 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 blah here. This is pure React. And at the end of the day, we are also disconnecting. If this is pure React, we'll talk about use effect. We'll talk about hooks in our React class. All right. So, and we are creating a modal here. We are creating a modal here that would actually run when we have selected alert. So, this will be available in our data team. This is to be available in our in the repo, whether in the main branch or in the data team branch. It's going to this code is going to be available, so you can get it from there. So the next thing for us to do, okay, now that we have done that, our code is complete. So now let us go and test. All right. So now, first of all, since this component, we have this component, I need to add this component to the dashboard. So I will go to the dashboard page. Now, if you don't understand what we are doing here, if you don't understand what we are doing here, this is Next.js, and we also, in our mentorship class, we also teach Next.js. So now, fraud alert, so I have to import this. So this is what I'm doing. Immediately after the login button, excuse me, I'm importing. I'm adding this component here. So let me go and import it. So it's imported now. So immediately after the logout button, that's where I'm having this fraud alert. So I would go. So let us run so go to your backend folder, open it in integrated folder. So I will start my backend. I'll say npm run dev to start my backend server, and I will come to my front end, open it in integrated folder, and I'll say npm run dev. All right, so our backend, I believe, is running on port 5000. Front end is also running. So let's go and check out. So my local hosts 3000, but I'm going to dashboard. First of all, let us see. I'm going to dashboard. All right. Now you can see our fraud alert component here. Look at it here. So, all right, you can see our fraud alert component here. Okay. And then look at it here. So now, remember, for the alert to be triggered, we need to, if I let's go to backend and see if we connected. Our backend should tell us if we have connected. You can see it says user connected. So now you must connect to the socket. You must connect to the pipeline for you to be receiving any alert. All right. So don't worry. We'll talk about this in our WebSocket classes. Okay. So now you can see we are connected. We are connected right now. All right. So if I go on, so I'm going to open another. I will open another one. I will go to localhost dashboard transaction so that I can make a transaction. So I'm going to have them side by side. This one is on and this one is on. So if I make a fraudulent transaction here, we are going to get real-time alert here. So now let's go. Let me say 50. No, this is fraudulent. This is too big. And then let's say let's give a fraudulent description too. Um, I want to enjoy life. I want to embezzle this money and I want to enjoy life. So I'm going to click submit, and while it is submitting, all right, I am going to go back to the dashboard. So I click submitting. I'll go back to dashboard. Let us see if we expect any alert. Okay. Let's see if we expect any alert. We should. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. If I go back here, I think this one is still loading or have submitted. Okay, okay. So let's see. Did everything go well? Let's see our console. Oh no, we have an error. We have an error. Page. Okay, we have an error. Page 18. So this is our transaction. Okay, so we have an error. There's network error. But let me go to backend and see if there is anything there too. Okay, backend is clear. So, but our front end, we have an error. Let's figure it out. This happened on page TSS, as in page 18 of our transaction. So let's go to our transaction page, page 18. Transaction, page 18. Okay, so it's like there's an error. So let's go back to our transaction. Let's go back to our backend and see our transaction control and see what could be the problem there. Go to controller, transaction controller, and then if there is any error, let me console.log it here and see what could be the error we get. Console.log. So I'm debugging. All right, everything didn't go on well. So I'm debugging. Okay, we have also connected back. And then let's go back and then run this. Let me submit again. And then I'll go back to my backend and see if there is any error. Okay, there is an error. There is an error. It says my JSON is not formatted well. Syntax error. Okay, where did it happen? Okay, this is coming from my analyzed transaction. So my JSON wasn't formatted very well. So let's go back. Where is it again? Analyze transactions. Like my JSON was not formatted well. Okay. So, mm, since my JSON was not formatted well. Okay, so I will go back and run this transaction again and see. How is my JSON not formatted well? Okay, let's go and this is about debugging right now. So let us go and run again and go back to our. If I have the same error, I will just have to. Okay. So I'm going to pause and fix it and I'll come back. All right. Let me not waste your time. Okay, so I have fixed it. Just take a look at this. Take a look at this properly. This our JSON is this is how you format it, please. Take a look at it. All right, take a look at this format. Make sure it's exactly like this. Now our alert. Now we have run that transaction. So if I go back, you will see, first of all, our category came back and says it's entertainment because I said I want to enjoy life. Our category came back very well. Okay, you see, it came back very well. It's entertainment. But now we had an alert. Look at it, we had an alert. This is our alert component. It says there's an alert, a fraud alert. The transaction amount is extraordinarily large, 50 quadrillion naira, which is highly unusual. So there's an alert here. So what are we talking about? That is real time. Because if I close now, you can see we have fraud alert 1. If I go back again, let me recreate this thing again. Let me submit again. As I'm submitting, I'll go back to our dashboard. Let us see, it's coming in real time. All right, it is coming. What you see, it has come in real time. Yes, it might be slow because of it's a small laptop, it's a small computer, so the server will be slow. But if it was a server like WhatsApp server or those big servers, it will be very fast. You can see. All right, we are getting and we have to fraud alert here. So it's coming back in real time. All right. So congratulations if you have gotten to this. If your code is working perfectly, drop in the comment section. Say day 13 done, and day 14 will be coming up. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share with your friends, tell your friends about the channel. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then follow me on LinkedIn. All right. Follow me on LinkedIn, and I have a lot to actually offer. And most especially, if you really want to learn all these things and be very good at building applications like this, enroll into my mentorship program. All right, enroll into 6 months mentorship program. I will give you tutorial, will build three beautiful applications, portfolio, job ready portfolio applications, and then also guide you in helping you getting job because every day of our class, we are building challenges or the kind of test employers are actually asking for. All right, so thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next class. All right, before I go, let's do this. Aha. Don't forget, let's do this. Let's go and, of course, I'm going to stop every server that is running, and then I am going to go to Fintech app. And what am I going to do? I'm going to say, I'm going to say git add, and then I'm going to say git commit, and my commit message is just simple day 13. All right, simple day 13. And I can maybe add fraud and detection. Okay, of course, it has to be okay. I hit enter, everything is settled, and then, but remember to make sure you're doing it inside your AI FinTech app, or not on backend on front end. So I have to push git push origin and the 13. After I do that, I will now do git branch. Sorry, yeah, git switch. I like using switch. Git switch main. I go back to the main branch, and then I'm going to now say git merge. Let me merge git merge. I'm merging with the 13. All right, everything cool. Then I'm now after doing that, I'm going to push. I'm going to push my main, my main branch. Git push. Now, if you don't understand Git, GitHub, and blah, 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 we also have it in our mentorship program. Okay, so everything is cool now. In the description, I will also be adding my GitHub repo so that you can actually go and see the code there and copy, especially the fraud alert component that we didn't have. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you later.